What's up, guys? I got into wings and I want to talk today about the Flik wing. I haven't built it yet. As you can see, it's still a work in progress, but this is something I'm very excited about. My favorite plane has been the Nano Goblin. I've tried a few planes that are just, they all have their pros and cons, but I like things small. That's why I like micro drones. That's why I like to just be inconspicuous. I like to be able to fly and people not look and be like, what's that? And it causes a big problem. It's known that smaller planes don't fly as nice as bigger planes. That is true. But if you're like me and you just like to cruise and you just like to be inconspicuous, this is absolutely perfect. Now, this Nano Goblin has been around for maybe 6-7 years, I don't know, a long time now. So this is well known and it's a very good flyer. This guy now is been shrunk down. I forgot the size. I'll probably put it on the screen somewhere. But it's just the perfect size to fit in a bag. It comes in a nice box that you can use to transport it. I know the Goblin also had a box, but it's a little bit bigger in all directions. This would be exactly perfect for everything I want to do. This is basically not a build video for this plane. There are many build videos out there that will take a long time. I just want to go over really quickly how this feels and how I feel about it, and if you want to get it, if you should get it. I've actually had quite a few airplanes. I've even joined some airplane clubs. I've hung around some guys who fly jets and do all these cool things, and it just got me so pumped. I've always loved airplanes. So at this point of the build, I have, chosen most of my components. So I will show you real close. This is my little nano flight controller. I want to make this as light as possible. This is a flywheel. This one just came out. It's a 16 by 16. I forgot the name of it. It's literally made for a drone. I just got the flight controller. I don't have any. I don't have an ESC that tells me the amp. That's the only thing that's missing. It has a barrel, it has everything. It has built-in ELRS, so I just have to plug an antenna into this. Don't have to add a receiver or anything. It's amazing, and it's an HD flight controller, so it just has the plug there that you plug your VTX into, and that's it. You're good to go. I use the top of the USB-C thing as a ground, as you can see. That's what I use to, because there's a lot of ground. I don't have a BEC or anything. I'm just running the 5 volts from this off to the servos, and it does just fine because the servos don't draw that much power that's going to overpower this the BEC on this. That's how I run it on both of my Nano Goblins, and even on my Flying Fish that has 4 servos, and it seems to work just fine. So let's get to building, and I'll see you when it's all finished. Bam, just like that. Here we go, all built up. A few days later, this is what I got, guys. Look at this. I'm very pleased with how this came out. So I just added this carbon fiber sticker. I love it. Matches the winglets, which is just perfect. I think it's really cool, guys. And I just added a little thing so that when it's landing, it doesn't scrape along the belly. The major problem I had was trying to figure out where to put the VTX. I see people cramming their VTX into the cover, which would be the easiest thing to do. But I thought, I don't like the idea of having to always remove the cover, and the wires are going to be bending, and eventually these little frail wires for the MIPI cable or even the power and the TX-RX, they're going to just wiggle until they break. I'd rather my VTX stay still. So I came up with this 3D printed mount that I just designed up really quick. It's kind of really cool the way I got it stick in there. I love this. It feels good. I don't know if it's going to be enough cooling because all you have is this little air coming through. I just love the idea that I have just this one board. This is the only board in here. It's got the Express LRS on it. That's all I need. And it's just the ESC back there. The motor I ended up getting is the 1108. This is 6000 kV. I think it's pretty good for 2S. It was 5200 that was recommended, but they wanted to switch between 2 and 3S, so I think this is good for 2S. I'm not going to be flying 3S at all. I don't know about the GPS placement. I want it to be as simple as possible, so I didn't create a mount for the GPS. I stuck it down there. I don't know if it's gonna work. Anyway, let's go fly, see how this thing does. Okay, guys, first flight. I'm already flying. I'm sorry I didn't catch the launch because basically the goggles were booting. I thought they were already booted. These digital goggles take forever to boot, and yeah, my field camera wasn't working. I really didn't have the best of luck in this time around because here the wind is also really crazy. This location is not good. As you can see, it's wiggling around. Here I'm trying to do auto tune. It's not recommended to do auto tune when there's so much wind, but I had to do something to at least get the plane to feel a bit better. It felt very loose, and the way the wind takes it feels a lot different to how the Nano Goblin felt. I was really struggling to understand what's going on with this plane, but I'm going to tell you how I fixed this in a moment, guys. So I tried to do the tuning. Eventually it felt a bit better, but I could hear that the servos were like really racing. So what I wanted to show here, guys, is that in the beginning I had this in the bottom hole here, right? So just like the gears on your bicycle, when you have the smaller gear here, this arm has to move a whole lot more before this moves. So when you move it up one, that's like going up into a higher gear. And now the smaller movements of this is going to push this aileron even more. So the servo ends up having more authority over the movement of the aileron. In this configuration, it actually feels very annoying to fly in manual mode. It's too twitchy, so I can understand why they said to first put it in the first hole, because that in manual mode, it felt really good when it's in the first hole. You get more resolution that way also. But for any kind of flight control, I recommend putting it in the second hole. So guys, here I adjusted the servo horn, and this felt a whole lot better right away. It was really night and day difference. It felt like it was struggling before. Even when I was doing a roll, it felt like it hesitated. Now it feels like it rolls really nicely, and this feels more like what I'm used to. So it's feeling pretty good here. This is still not good. This location again is not the best. The wind rolls over the top of the trees and it makes a lot of turbulence here. All the planes I have when I fly here, it feels the same way, and this is just really being thrown around. So I really hate to use this as any kind of a show as to how this plane flies, but I'm going to show you the moment this thing really clicked with me. But first, here we have this. Here's something I thought would never happen to me. Watch this. God damn it, look at that. That really sucked, guys. So basically what happened here, I'm slowing this down. You see, I disarmed. My finger pressed the disarm button. How did that happen? Well, that happens sometimes, doesn't it? I mean, this has never happened to me before, but I'll show you what happened here. So those of you that watch my channel know that I've been using the Jumper T Pro. I have a few radios, but this one I use a lot for some reason. It's really silly because it's got this momentary arm button. I could have armed with anything else, but I want to use the switches for other things. So this is the arm button. So when I arm and then I throw with this arm. So basically I arm, turn up the throttle, and I launch. I should do auto launch, but I like launching manually. I don't know, that's just me. And then by the time I grab the radio back, my finger just hit this thing like this. Usually I rest my finger under here, but I just hit that thing thinking it was underneath. And of course that disarmed it, and I was just fumbling. So, you know, that just goes to show you that you can be the best pilot in the world. If you don't train for an emergency situation, you're just going to do crap. And that's what happened to me. I did manage to rearm when I look back at the video, but it was just too late. So in terms of damage, the only thing I damaged was the VTX, because I guess, you know, it went nose first in there. The camera was fine. The camera was literally underwater. It was fine, but the VTX got messed up. So I had to change that. So I actually had a few days of just flying this thing line of sight. And eventually I got another VTX in. I actually didn't want to buy another Walksnail VTX because I want to wait if I want to get the 04 or something different. But I just had to get this because I really wanted to fly again. And what I'm about to show you is exactly the point when I realized this is my favorite plane. So guys, I fly on the beach all the time. I've flown all my planes here, and for some reason, even when it's windy, at least on the beach, there's a consistent wind. I know how all the planes operate here. So everything's feeling fine. I'm loving this, and then I realized the VTX is overheating. And that's where I kind of figured this was going to happen. This is very strange because the first VTX I put in here, the very same mounting, it only would overheat when I was gliding. And that makes sense because when you're gliding, your plane slows down and there's not enough air coming in. But usually as soon as I put the throttle on, it cools right down. This time, it just kept going up and up. This is weird because it's the same, it's supposed to be the same VTX. It's the same mounting. It didn't move. I checked to see if it was further away from the hole. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. And this is just really strange. So somehow this, either it just has a sensor that's more temperature sensitive, this VTX, you know, they probably all have some kind of a like discrepancy between them. I don't know, but it turned off and I didn't get the onboard recording. So what you're seeing here is just all from the goggles. I wanted to do some gyroflow stabilization to show you what kind of footage you can get, because I've gotten some really good footage from the plane that's really stable and steady and amazing. But I wasn't able to do that, guys. I am sorry. I did not get to do exactly what I wanted to do here, but at least this right here feels amazing. I'm loving this plane and I can highly recommend this. Now that I've felt the way it flies here, this is the most locked in that I've got it, even though it's still not perfect. I'm going to have to revisit this. I know this as a fact. This is just my initial findings, and hopefully it helps you out if you want to, like, you know, get this plane too. I'm doing this not because I'm affiliated with it in any way. I just saw this and I thought this is a great idea. I know a lot of people probably don't know this exists. If you want to fly a bigger plane, that's all up to you, but I like these small planes. And one thing I noticed, guys, this plane looks like a seagull. It's got the two black wingtips and the seagulls are actually following it around, which is kind of funny. So it's great. This was my very first plane. This is a Flying Fish. It's an amazing plane. 100% recommend this plane if you want a traditional plane with your rudder and elevator and all of the goodies. So when I started learning this, I said there's no way I'm going to go to flying a wing because it's nice to have all the control services. As I was watching videos about wings, you know, the number one thing I hated about them that made me think I was never going to get a wing was the fact that they're usually really noisy. But guys, with this plane, the secret here is the fact that the prop is a bit further back. So the air here is a bit cleaner. The reason why wings are so loud is because by the time the air comes off of your airframe, it's swirling around and the propeller is hitting it at some weird angles and it creates this really annoying sound that we hear all wings make. This one is so quiet, and I know, number one, that this Emax prop, this is the Emax Avon, I think the 3-inch. I reviewed this prop like years ago when it first came out, and I know this prop is really good. It's designed really well. The fact that this prop is still around and people are still flying it shows you just how well it's designed. It's very aerodynamic. It's quiet. Same thing with the Nana Goblin. It's pretty quiet for a wing, but this one takes it to another level. This is really silent. It's really, really, really nice to hear that. Anyways, guys, this was all about inspiring people because as somebody who's just been flying drones, and I mean, to be honest, I did get kind of bored of drones. It's not that I'm bored, but there's so much conflict with the different FPV systems. Sometimes it's nice to take a break from one thing, do something else, and then you go back and it feels new again, right? Planes are amazing, guys. This is something you should definitely try. It doesn't have to be this plane. It can be anyone. There's so many planes out there to choose from, but this is one that I personally love, and I'm probably going to get a second one because every time I like something, I get two. Anyway, you guys, I'm sure there's a few things that I probably didn't cover, and you're probably shouting at me like, why you do this? Why you didn't do that? I want to hear about it in the comments below, guys. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy flying.